Feminism. Have you noticed how women are becoming more and more aggressive and intolerant? It's getting to be in your face and out of control. I am 100% pro-woman, but I'm also 100% pro-man. Why is there so much division these days? Why are women so mad all the time? What is feminism, really? A feminist is someone who believes in, and advocates for, the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes, particularly focusing on addressing the disadvantages and injustices historically faced by women. However, the term feminist can mean different things to different people, depending on the time period, cultural context, and personal beliefs. Feminism began as a movement to secure basic rights for women, such as the right to vote, the right to own property, equal access to education and employment. At its core, it seeks to ensure fair treatment of women and men, under the law, and in society. In more recent decades, feminism has taken on additional meanings. Second-wave feminism, 1960s through the 1980s. Focused on workplace equality, reproductive rights, and challenging traditional gender roles. Third-wave feminism, 1990s through the 2010s. Emphasized diversity, individuality, and empowerment. Fourth-wave feminism, 2010s through the present. Often includes issues like intersectionality, race, gender, class, LGBTQ+ rights, and combating sexual harassment. There were 20 years in between the second and third waves of feminism. But this fourth wave just keeps expanding, and seems almost liquid. It seems strange, right? Some Christians and conservatives critique modern feminism for encouraging rebellion against biblical gender roles. Example, wives submitting to their husbands, Ephesians 5 verses 22 to 24. Promoting abortion, sexual promiscuity, or anti-male sentiment. Supporting ideologies that elevate self over submission to God. In this view, certain strands of feminism are not just about equal rights, but about dismantling God's design for family, marriage, and womanhood.
We're here at LA Pride!
Seeking fair treatment, respect, and justice for women is not ungodly. The Bible highly honors women. See Proverbs 31, Deborah, Mary, Ruth, and Priscilla. Jesus also uplifted women, in radical ways for his time. The problem arises when feminism rejects God's word as the authority, elevates personal freedom above God's design, and distorts womanhood into a tool for rebellion, rather than a gift of divine purpose.
Horns on my head, they're from goddesses, goddesses. Oh God. I never knew what it meant to be content with you.
Feminism becomes a form of God worship when it deifies the self or womanhood, rejects God's created order, embraces spiritual rebellion against divine authority, incorporates goddess or spiritual self-empowerment narratives. This form of feminism is less about social justice and more about spiritual replacement, swapping God for self.
In today's polarized world, is feminism dead? I saw your hand.
I think that depends on the definition of feminism. I strongly think that feminism is more of an action than an identity. I would say it's uplifting all women, in which case it's very alive. At the same time, if we do follow that definition, feminism has splintered off into so many different areas that you can look at people like Sheryl Sandberg who say you should just get another nanny if you feel oppressed. And if we're talking about that kind of feminism, yeah, it's pretty dead.
Biblical perspective. The Bible honors the value and dignity of women. See Proverbs 31, Luke 8 verses 1 to 3, and Galatians 3 verse 28. But it also lays out distinct roles in the home, church, and society that are often challenged by modern feminist thought. A Christian woman can advocate for justice and respect for women, without rejecting God's design for order, submission, and servanthood.
Isn't actually about equality. It's about equality when it benefits us. I think feminism is really about women wanting special privileges and treatment at the expense of men often. And I think it's alive and well, sadly.
Why the word feminism can be so misleading. It suggests it's about all women, but isn't. Feminism claims to represent all women, but often only supports women who agree with its political, moral, or ideological agenda. Women who are pro-life, embrace biblical womanhood, or love being wives and mothers, are often mocked or excluded from feminist circles. So, it's not pro-woman in the broad sense, it's pro-woman who agrees with us.
And let me tell you why it's very hard. I said, what's that? She says, ever since in high school, I wanted to prove to men that I can beat them. So when I graduated high school and college, I opened up my salon. We do very well. I've made millions of dollars. My people and my work that work at the salon, they do very well for themselves. I drive a nice car. I have a nice house. I have money. I have millions. I don't worry about any of that stuff. You know what decision I made last night? I said, what's that? She says, I want a husband. I no longer want to compete with men. I need them.
It equates equality with sameness. God created men and women with equal value, but different design and purposes. Genesis 1 verse 27, Ephesians 5. Feminism often pushes for interchangeability, as if women must be the same as men, to be equal, leading to the devaluation of femininity itself. It's ironic, feminism sometimes dishonors womanhood, while claiming to elevate it. It can promote rebellion instead of restoration. Biblical empowerment means serving within God's design, like Esther, Deborah, and Mary. Feminism often promotes autonomy above obedience, leading to rebellion against God, family structure, and moral order. This isn't true empowerment, it's bondage wrapped in independence. It hijacks the moral high ground. The word sounds righteous, feminism equals standing up for women. But often, it's used to shame or silence dissenters, especially women of faith who embrace traditional roles or values. Here's how feminism can actually reject women. Oftentimes, feminists refuse to define woman. When asked, what is a woman, many high-profile feminists or activists refuse to give a clear answer, saying things like, I'm not a biologist. But if you can't define what a woman is, how can you claim to fight for women's rights? This erases the very identity they claim to protect.
You said that you're a trans woman.
I trans female, yes, ma'am, sir.
Do you have a penis?
That's horrible.
You're the one that brought that into the discussion.
You're the one that never said anything about genitalia.
Oh, it has everything to do with genitalia.
I don't know what my rights are for right now.
Audience, if you want to stay in here.
I don't know what my rights are, but that question was highly inappropriate.
You do not have to answer any question. If you're through, we'll dismiss you.
Well, I'm not through with questions, but I'm not going to answer that question. That's highly inappropriate.
Again, you can say that, and that's your right. So.
Okay. I'm a healthcare professional, a doctor. Please treat me as such. Next question, please.
Promoting gender ideology over biology. Many feminists now support ideologies that allow biological men, who identify as women, to enter women's spaces, sports, locker rooms, shelters, and more. This often puts actual women at a disadvantage or even in harm's way. Feminism was originally about protecting women. Now it often prioritizes male feelings over female safety and fairness. Mocking traditional women. Feminists often discredit women who choose to be stay-at-home moms, to submit to their husbands biblically, to embrace femininity, modesty, or biblical roles. These women are called brainwashed, oppressed, or anti-woman. That's not pro-woman, that's pro-agenda. Equating abortion with empowerment. Modern feminism often ties women's freedom to abortion rights, as if a woman's value depends on her ability to reject motherhood. This sends a message: you're only powerful if you don't need your God-given, life-bearing design. Again, that's not honoring womanhood, it's fighting against it. So, what's the result of feminism? Women are confused about their identity. Womanhood is redefined by feelings, not biology or divine design. Biblical women are excluded from the conversation. There's a better way. Surprise, it's God's way. The Bible gives a clear, empowering, and dignified view of what a woman is. We are made in God's image, Genesis 1 verse 27. Designed with unique strength, wisdom, and influence, Proverbs 31. And, we are equal in value to men, but beautifully distinct in role and purpose.
If you could eliminate one thing from the world, what would you eliminate?
Narcissists.
Toxic feminism.
We the top 10, UGK the major way, not play it, don't stop here. Traffic lights, we going, know the time and
God's design still stands. Even though the world is confused. God still blesses marriage, between a man and a woman. He still delights in children, and the generational blessing, that comes from godly families. And he still calls people back from confusion, into clarity, healing, and truth. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 33.